18-year-old Edwin Rosario from Baja, Puerto Rico. Lives in Puerto Rico, the youngest of 9 children, a record of 17-0. He's won all 17 by knockout. An incredible puncher. His last bout 3 weeks ago at Madison Square Garden in New York, second-round knockout of Rafael Rojas. Edwin could be the most powerful puncher in the featherweight division, even more so than the WBC champ Salvador Sanchez, although today Rosario is fighting as a junior lightweight, going up against 21-year-old Rodrigo Aguirre from Juarez, Mexico, now lives in Los Angeles. A record of 14-2-2. The 2 draws the result of the California scoring system, in which a bout is stopped when one of the fighters suffers a severe cut. Aguirre has been stopped only once in his career, and as people say, by a low blow, as you look at the tail of the tape. And Aguirre with an inch and a half height advantage. Rosario with the reach edge. Aguirre is a boxer puncher, prefers to box, but he can hit hard enough to get your attention. And Fruity, should be interesting to check out Rosario right at the start. For all his early knockouts, he usually begins slowly, doesn't run across the ring like Aaron Pryor does. Instead, he builds up gradually. His philosophy before the fight gets underway, when the bell rings for round 1, he adopts the philosophy that the other guy is in deep trouble.
Yes, and he has every reason to. 17 wins, 17 knockouts. He's got confidence. He's well taught. He knows how to pace himself. He knows that fighting is a whole 10-round proposition. He boxes, 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 and then when he sees the opportunity, he lowers the boom.
Rodrigo Aguirre can be elusive, uses his legs well, likes to dip and duck. However, his manager says he will not look to stay away from Rosario, which could be a mistake.
Could be. Benny Giorgino feels like he can come right to Rosario and set the pace early and see what Rosario's got when pressured. Many people have tried, not too many have succeeded. So let's see what happens now. Hoping very tentative, very, very tight first moves by both fighters.
Scheduled for 10 from the Sun Dome on the campus of the University of South Florida in Tampa. The referee is Benny Soto. And the rules under the Tampa Boxing Commission, 3 knockdown rule in effect. The fighter can be saved by the bell. Scoring on a 10-point must by the 3 judges. The referee does not take part in the scoring. Referee can stop the fight.
A bell saves a fighter in Tampa. If he's down, the bell rings, you can drag the carcass to the corner.
Yes.
It's rather harsh. Very tight first round. Neither fighter really loosening up. Rosario just sort of looking over what he's got in front of him. And Rodrigo certainly not coming on in that avalanche fashion that Giorgino said he was going to. But very few punches thrown.
Just past the midway point, there's one thrown by Rosario.
And it happened to be a beauty.
Edwin Rosario in the white trunks, Rodrigo Aguirre in the red.
Well, I keep telling you that this Rosario is a pinpoint puncher, that he just measures a guy and tries to figure out what his weakness is and goes after it. The one punch that was thrown this round that meant anything was a right hand by Rosario right on the button.
Edwin Rosario, 17-0. All 17 by knockout. Record according to Ring Magazine. And Aguirre at 14-2 with 2 draws. Rosario has fought all kinds of boxers, hasn't gone up, though, against an opponent considered real tough to hit. And Aguirre is that type of opponent, said to have a very good chin.
Well, he's fought, beside his 14-2 record, which we verified, he's also claims 10 victories in Juarez. In Mexico, of course, he doesn't say against what. It might have been against bulls, not humans.
Bertie, you have such a way with words. Final seconds of round 1. The bell at the end of round. Jr. tomorrow on NBC Sports World, a television first live flag-to-flag coverage of a 500-mile Indy car race, the Cart Michigan 500. And for the first time ever, a live camera will be in an Indy car. That's tomorrow here on NBC Sports World. And again, we see Ferdy, Edwin Rosario, taking his time, not rushing at his opponent, Rodrigo Aguirre. Starts very slowly.
Willing to face himself. Aguirre just showed a flash of fire there. The wrath of Aguirre is beginning to show. If he gets in close, he's going to let both hands fly. But to get in close to Rosario without paying a price is a problem he has not been able to solve yet.
Edwin Rosario in the white. Rodrigo Aguirre in the red. Edwin was a 95-pound junior Olympic champion at the age of 8. Three-time Puerto Rican Golden Gloves champ. As an amateur, he won 30 and lost 2. He's been greatly influenced by the success of his older brother, Lewis, world-class.
Live coverage of the Eddie Mustafa Muhammad Michael Spinks.
To get in and out without getting hit.
Recent article in the New York Times called Edwin Rosario the most exciting fighter in the world today. Of course, folks who have seen the first 2 rounds might be asking what fighter the Times have been watching, but as we keep saying,
It's 10 rounds.
Rosario starts very, very slowly.
Yeah, he doesn't have a good first act. It's his finish that's great. So far, he's been hit 2 or 3 times by that looping hook of Aguirre. Aguirre should be getting the feeling that he can hit him and get confidence to move forward. He's got to cut the distance between them.
Round 3, and if the script follows through, Edwin Rosario, who has been building up, should begin to start to throw. We should see some action shortly.
I believe in a few exchanges he showed you the kind of speed that he's got. Although Gary stood right with him. I have the fight even up to this point, what there was of it. There goes that hook again. He's landed it twice. He thought he could try it a 3rd time.
Aguirre did score a major upset last August, a victory over then world rank Juan Escobar. Edwin Rosario ranked 5th by Ring Magazine and rated 5th by the WBC as a super bantamweight who'll eventually be a full-time featherweight. This is a junior lightweight bout.
Rodrigo Aguirre is certainly not scared of Rosario or respecting him too much. He's coming ahead. You notice he has come forward the last 2 rounds and this 3rd round. He is chasing Rosario. Rosario still has not gone over to the attack. He's willing to stand back and see where the errors are. Doesn't make for an exciting fight, but he comes on in the middle.
And Aguirre has fought only once in the year 1981, a 10-round decision over Roy Hernandez out in Los Angeles. He says he's had difficulty getting fights.
Hey, somebody wake him up.
Halfway point, round 3, and we have not seen any action at all to this point.
So far, it's been a fencing session. Fans here not satisfied with the action. Somebody just yelled, somebody wake him up.
Right hand by Rosario.
Right on the ear. And it seemed to have stung Aguirre. Low blow by Aguirre. Rosario did not complain, but Bernie Soto told both boys, keep him up. Soto warning Gary to watch his head and hitting on the brake. Gary looks like he's getting pumped up to fight. The distance is closing between them. Rosario's beginning to look like he wants to tee off.
But again, for the most part, a non-action round, and that has been the story over the first three here in Tampa, Florida. We'll be back in just a moment. Tampa, Florida, we're at the Sundome. Marv Albert and the fight doctor, Ferdy Pacheco. This is round 4. Very little action thus far. Edwin Rosario, the 18-year-old out of Puerto Rico, with a record of 17-0. All 17 victories by knockout, going up against 21-year-old Rodrigo Aguirre from Juarez, Mexico, now living in Los Angeles. Edwin's father looking on. Edwin is youngest of 9 children.
In the corner, they said, Rosario, well, you moved him around enough. Now pick up the pace. Remains to be seen whether Rosario is going to continue this sort of miserable dance that they've been doing for 3 rounds, or if he's going to pick it up as they told him.
We talked earlier of the crescendo style of Edwin Rosario. It has been a creeping crescendo style.
Creeping barrage.
Minute gone by. Round 4, scheduled for 10.
This fight will pick up when Rosario decides to go over to the attack and not wait for Aguirre to do the leading. When Rosario decides to come forward with a jab and start to mount an attack, this fight will pick up.
We'll be back here in Tampa a week from tomorrow. That's next Sunday here on NBC Sports World. Hard-hitting middleweight 19-year-old Bobby Ches takes his unbeaten record against the once-beaten Rich Nuggles. Scheduled 10-rounder right here at the Sundome. A week from tomorrow on NBC Sports World.
They haven't done this much fighting, but somehow Aguirre's nose has begun to bleed. He has some blood on his chest. It's dripping down. Rosario's jab has been absent through most of the second and third round. As this thing of beauty is beginning to start throwing it now. He's just thrown 2.
And that is Edwin's dad looking on at ringside. Approach the 10-second mark in round 4. Good left hand by Rosario, but we're final seconds of the round. 5, Ferdy, how do you score it?
So far, Rosario's unquestionably ahead 40-38. I think he's picking up the tempo toward the end of that round. Although there was a blow landed after the bell by Rosario, he landed one good hook that had Aguirre blinking, and I think he felt like he could take it on into the end of the round, but the bell sounded, and now we have a different Rosario has shown up. He looks like he's on the tip of his toes. He's going to the attack, as we said. Once he does that, it'll be a different fight. In Aguirre's corner, they told him he's got to fight this thing. He can't, no way he can win just trying to outbox this guy. He's got to get him close and fight with him.
And we are seeing a different approach here by Edwin Rosario as we open up in round 5. Right hand by Rosario. The major upset scored by Aguirre over Juan Escobar last year. Also came through with a knockout of Rocky Garcia, who lost a close split decision to Bobby Chacon when Chacon was the champion in his prime. But Aguirre has suffered from inactivity. Neat spinning move there by Rosario.
Rosario's got an encyclopedia of moves going here. Unfortunately, it doesn't make for an exciting fight right now unless you're a real fight buff. And you can see this young kid just burgeoning forth with all his talent. He certainly can look forward to a great career if he keeps his determination up.
Rosario's last bout at Madison Square Garden in New York 3 weeks ago came up with a second-round knockout. Straight left by Rosario, and again. But this has been a disappointing bout to this point.
Once you've seen this kid fight several fights, you just don't expect him to this type of inactivity over 5 rounds. 1 or 2, 3 rounds is all right, but after that...
Action coming from both fighters. And again, Rosario comes on late in the round. He buckled Aguirre. This round is coming to a conclusion, though. Aguirre was stunned in the final seconds of round 5 by Edwin Rosario, who has put together a very careful and methodical approach from the opening bell. It has not made for much activity, but Rosario well in front of Aguirre.
It's really, in reality, a very intelligent fight that Rosario's fought. He's inflicted punishment without taking any. And he has his fighter in front of him, Aguirre, at the point of a knockout toward the end of the round. It was his misfortune. It came right at the very end of the round, but he certainly buckled. Aguirre looked like he was stunned, but the bell saved him, and they've revived him well. Now in the corner, in Aguirre's corner, he's interested to tell him, they are telling him that he's doing very well, that he's very close to the fight, and that he must fight him now and take command.
They are, of course, perceiving their own bout, not the one that we're watching here in the ring.
It's a tribute to the eternal optimism of the ring cornerman. Good counter-punching by Edwin Rosario. Swift, deadly punching by Edwin Rosario. But still, he doesn't go to the offensive. He's still sort of counter-punching away. He's not backing up Rodrigo Aguirre. He's not making it exciting. It's a dull fight. It's a dull fight because of Edwin Rosario, not because of Rodrigo Aguirre. It's Rosario's fight to make interesting, to take charge.
And we've passed the halfway mark. Round 6, scheduled for 10. Junior lightweights. Rodrigo Aguirre, a 21-year-old, now living in Los Angeles from Juarez, Mexico. And Edwin Rosario from Toho, Baja, Puerto Rico. Less than a minute remaining, round 6. Continues to stalk Rosario. And apparently able to come back well after he took 2 good shots in the final seconds of round 5.
Good exchange by both fighters. Aguirre making this round interesting. He's the one that's doing the pursuing. He's the one that's doing the attacking. Himself, he threw a right-hand lead with our left hand in front of him. He's too good a fighter to do that.
And we're final seconds. Round 6.
Round 7, junior lightweight.
On to round 7. And Rodrigo Aguirre's corner, he was just told, this guy's number 5, rated number 5, and he's scared of you. He's running away from you.
They just told him, go out and chase him out of the ring. They've also told him he's ahead, which I do not think he is. I think Rosario is ahead. Not that much. It's still within reach of Aguirre. It's that close.
to this point has to be considered a major disappointment for all that has been written, all we've heard about Edwin Rosario.
All he's done in 17 fights. He's been on television before. He was part of our Friday night fights. He's been on the ESPN shows, I think. And he's always fought an exciting, dynamic fight.
In fact, his co-manager, Jimmy Jacobs, first saw Edwin Rosario on television on NBC last summer. NBC telecasting the knockout of Javier Flores. A bout that was shown because of a quick knockout in the main event.
He looked great that night. And he was 17 years old.
And then Jacobs purchased his contract from Jose Santiago, the one-time Boston Red Sox pitcher, and Manny Siaka. Siaka has been retained as Rosario's trainer. So Jacobs and Bill Caton have had Edwin now for 5 fights.
Soto having a very easy job refereeing his first televised fight as the referee. He has had to do nothing.
We're at the Sundome on the campus of the University of South Florida in Tampa. Marv Albert and Ferdy Pacheco. We're in round 7, scheduled for 10. These are junior lightweights.
Well, Rosario's not helping his national reputation with this fight, I will say that.
Stung the left hand on Aguirre and the right.
Aguirre coming right back. There's no dog in him. He's cut. Aguirre is cut over the left eye. The whole left side of his face seems swollen. He had a scar tissue, as we pointed out at the top of the show, and it's beginning to break up there. He has, however, never had a fight stopped because of cuts. So he claims he's not worried about that.
And we're approaching the end of round 7. The best flurries of the bout have come in the final seconds of the round. And the same thing occurs right here. Of round 7.
You can see how Rosario recovers and just nails Aguirre at the bell. He falls back from that left hook, and you can see he's in trouble, but the bell saves him again, and it's absolutely no point to those last-minute flurries. He's got to do that at the beginning of the round, the middle of the round. He's got to make this interesting somehow.
So on to round 8. Edwin Rosario with that devastating record of 17-0, all 17 by knockout, with the reputation of being an incredible puncher, but we've seen very little of that thus far today. Going up against 21-year-old Rodrigo Aguirre out of Juarez, Mexico, record of 14-2 with 2 draws.
Aguirre has kept this fight close. But you get the feeling that if Rosario would put on the gas, he could finish this. He's had him in trouble twice at the end of 2 rounds. He's now certainly throwing bombs.
And he got in on Aguirre with the right hand. And you get the idea that he can end it very quickly. Left hand by Rosario.
Here comes Rosario's Express.
Trying to set up the combination, but could not. Soto now having some work to take care of.
Finally, Benny's got something to do. Aguirre fighting back with a body attack that doesn't seem to bother Rosario at all. Let's say for as little action as there's certainly an awesome amount of damage to
hand by Rosario. And Aguirre is hurt.
Face is breaking up, and he hasn't been hit that much. But now the power is coming into Rosario's punches. Now he's getting serious.
Good left hook by Rosario. And now we're seeing the entire repertoire of Edwin Rosario. He has that deadly left hook, the good right cross.
Right hand should have put away. That should have put away Rodrigo Aguirre, and he hangs in a one. Tough cookie this is.
And Aguirre got stung by a left hand, but was able to counter. And Aguirre lands on Rosario.
when he steps on the gas, you get the feeling that could have happened any time in the previous 3 or 4 rounds, and you wonder why he waits.
The official time, 2 minutes, 3 seconds. Check that, 2:38 of round 8. Here's another look. Edwin Rosario on the attack throughout this 8th round. Setting it up against Aguirre. The right hand by Rosario. Aguirre countering back. Able to hang on. Leading to the knockdown. Rosario with another right hand. And then down goes Aguirre. And that was a 2:38 of round 8 of Edwin Rosario, making it 18-0. All 18 by knockout. But the Express did not get going until late in the fight.
That's the only way you lost.
And Rosario's best flurries took just a moment.